This is All Ears with JP Finlay.
What up, everybody? Welcome into All Ears on location of sorts. We have an absolutely packed show to get to tonight. We heard from Terry McLaurin talking about David Blough, talking about his trip to L.A. with Jayden Daniels, and the newest commander, Sonny Styles, another Buckeye in Ashburn. But we got to start talking about the NFL schedule that got released last week. Now that we've had some time to really dig into the heart of this schedule, you see that, sure, it is difficult early on, but man, does it present some real opportunities for Washington as the year rolls on. I want to jump right into it because there's so much to look at when you get to this NFL schedule. It starts with a bang. I mean, think about this. The first 2 weeks of the season are on the road division games at Philly, at Dallas. Can you think of a more juiced up place than the Link for week one, a 4:30 start? Those people are probably already tailgating. And then you follow that up with another road trip down to Dallas. Jerry World will be rocking. Everybody's going to have a cowboy hat on, blaring AC/DC. Those are two very difficult games. Oh, okay, no big deal. Then you get the home opener. Wait a second, it's the defending Super Bowl champions, the Seattle Seahawks, coming to town. Las Vegas has already spoken. The Commanders are going to be underdogs in those first three games. There's no rule against them winning those, but man, that is a difficult opening slate. Then week four, a game we've already discussed at length, the London trip to take on the Colts. Remember, that Colts team was very good to start the year last year. That is as tough an opening slate as exists in the NFL. But then things slowly get a little bit better. They host the Giants, so they get their first division game at home on October 11th. Then it's another meaty road trip across the country, California, Santa Clara, to play the San Francisco 49ers. That's Monday Night Football, by the way. That's another stadium that will be amped up for the Washington's arrival. But then this is something to like. They got a bye week in the middle of the season. What a novel concept. That doesn't sound that big of a deal, but Washington hasn't had a middle of the season bye week in what seems like 25 years. Generally, they've been waiting until almost the end of the year for their bye week, so that's good rest for the fellas. They come back to open November 1st against the Eagles, Sunday Night Football right here on NBC. I have a feeling the Eagles team they see week one versus the team they see on November 1 could be quite different. Philly's a team that tends to get better as the season rolls on. That's a tough game, though. They go Eagles, then host the Rams the following week. The Rams have been installed as Super Bowl favorites, depending where you're shopping in Las Vegas. That Rams team is very good. They were in the NFC title game last week. But listen, I told you there's going to be opportunity. Opportunity's coming. Look at those four teams on your screen. The Giants, the Bengals, the Cardinals, and the Titans. I recognize three of the four are on the road. None of those teams, however, made the playoffs last year. Three of those teams last year had a worse record than Washington. They have got to chop wood here. And yeah, that Bengals game, a Monday nighter, is going to be juicy at Northwest Stadium. You get Joe Burrow versus Jayden Daniels. I understand it's a lot of travel there, but that needs to be a win streak. Force them. Maybe you go 4-0, maybe you go 3-1, but that's where they've got to get good. Now we're getting late. We got Santa Claus, Mariah Carey singing, all those annoying Christmas songs. This is an up and down stretch here. Houston's got a great defense, but that offense is spotty. Who knows what the Atlanta Falcons are? Going back to Minnesota in December, not my favorite, but then you follow that up with a trip to Jacksonville. The Jags were good last year. Liam Cohen has that offense humming. And then the finale, Dallas at home. If that Dallas game matters for something, perhaps it matters for an NFC East title, perhaps it's a win and in wild card kind of game. If that Dallas game matters, I would certainly expect to see that flexed into Sunday Night Football right here on NBC. You certainly hope that when you get to the end of the season playing the Cowboys, it's for something. Now, that's up to Washington. They've got to avoid the prolonged losing streaks we saw in the 2025 season. They got to get on the hot streaks like we saw in the 2024 season. The schedule is out. It's certainly a doozy. It starts very, very difficult, but there are opportunities as things move on. Now, earlier I told you I got to talk to Terry McLaurin. Let's get into what they're saying. This is Terry McLaurin talking about his trip out to L.A. with Jayden Daniels and what that means for this offense.
It was extremely important for me to be there with Jayden, and he led the charge with that, and we just wanted to get connected and kind of start from a day one perspective. At the time, we didn't have the offense. We knew some of the routes that were going to be in the offense, but it was a time for us to just kind of connect and get some work in. We hadn't seen each other since the end of the season, so it was just a good time to be out there in LA. I'm not the biggest LA fan per se. I'm more of like a East Coast, down south guy, but, Jayden's made me a little bit more of an LA person. He took care of us. He's a very influential person around there, and so they rolled out the red carpet. We were able to work out at USC and UCLA, and just a good time to bond and get some work in. So it was just important for me to be there. We went to a Clipper game. Wemby wasn't playing. That was tough. But, we got to watch the game together, and just, it wasn't all about ball. We just got to hang out. So, I know he wants to do that again with, the broader group of everybody this summer. So I'm looking forward to the opportunity to do that again.
Gotta love to see that video. You gotta love to hear Terry say that Jayden took the initiative and set this up, and he wanted to be a part of it. I liked him joking about not being an LA guy. I'm not sure I am either. I'm just not hip enough, I don't think. But there was a little Easter egg in there. The Taylor Swift fans are always looking at her album covers to see what hints they're dropping. Did you notice that it sure looked like Jayden was simulating taking passes from under center in some of those passing drills? Keep that in mind, because what do we know? This new offensive coordinator, David Blough, going to be calling the plays. We expect to see Jayden Daniels under center a lot more. I got to ask Terry McLaurin what he thinks about the new offensive coordinator as it's slowly getting installed, learning a new system.
Yeah, it's been really fun working with Blough, honestly. I've known him for a really long time. A little tidbit, like if I wouldn't have committed to Ohio State and went to Purdue, he would have been my quarterback. Wow. So, I've kind of loosely followed his career for a long time, and, obviously him being part of our staff, he's just done a great job since he's been here. I think he's a master communicator, you know what I mean? I think he does a good job of explaining what his expectations are, but also he's personable enough to be able to communicate how he wants it done, and also holding a standard that is going to force us to continue to raise our level of play. And it's just been fun to learn an offense that is going to be multiple, that's going to put guys in situations to have a lot of success and move guys around, you know what I mean, to find advantageous matchups. So, I'm super excited, and, I told him as long as he can still kind of throw me the ball on game day, he's been my game day thrower. So I told Danny Etling he may have to get that call up, because Blough's going to have a lot of other things to focus on. But it's been super fun, I think him being so young in this space, he comes with very new, fresh, bright ideas, and I just respect his come up, from a player to now a coach, and he's earned everything that has come to him. So it's not a surprise by me he got the opportunity that he did, and I know he's ready to seize it.
He says he wants to get you 10 targets a game.
I love that. I love that. He told me that way back in February. He texted me that him and I have a really good relationship, and he's been a man of his word, and my job is to prove that each and every day when we're having workouts to be the leader, to be someone you can count on to be on the field and make plays. And that's all I've been asking for. That's all I want. So to win games and have a big part of that. So I was definitely smiling when I saw that come across his phone. And, from OTAs and stuff, I could definitely tell that's going to be a part of it, along with the other guys as well. There's going to be opportunities for me to take away coverage for Chig and for, Trey and, Bill and just so many other guys on our offense. So I think that's cool when you have a multiple offense that has multiple looks and formations, can make things look the same and marry together. It provides opportunities for everybody, because the defense has to worry about you being in the receiver position 1, 2, and 3 on the left or the right. You know what I mean? There's just so many different combinations we can do now that I feel like frees up a lot of people.
Some really good information there from Terry. I love the depth of the relationship between him and David Blough, going all the way back to kind of Terry's high school days when they were committing to various colleges. But if you got a little frustrated watching the Commanders' offense towards the end of last season, and then you hear Terry talking about multiple looks out of the same formation, receivers moving around. Remember, in Cliff Kingsbury's offense, we didn't see a lot of pre-snap motion. Things generally came out of the shotgun. Expect that to look different. You know what else is going to look different? The player in the middle of the field on defense. Enter Sonny Styles to the burgundy and gold. We asked Terry McLaurin about the newest Buckeye in Ashburn.
Yeah, I met Sonny a few summers ago when I went back to visit Ohio State, and Coach Mick is somebody that not only I really trust to have a good relationship with, but his word holds a lot of weight around there. And he pointed out Sonny before last year. So it was, I think his junior year when he was moving from safety. He was like, that's a guy that you should watch and follow because, he's going to be a great player. And you hear the great player tag, but I know now he gets even more credit as he should as the person he is. Like just his demeanor. I hadn't got to be around him daily like I am now, but his demeanor he approaches the game like a vet. You know what I mean? He's in there asking guys questions about the player benefits and how do I take advantage of all these things that the PA provides and how do I be ready for practice. Like he wants to know it all. And I think when you come in with a humble approach like that, but he's a big guy and he's a top 7 pick, I think he has a chance to have a really long career because I know what he's built like. You know what I mean? I know the program he's coming from. And this thing I told him is to be who they drafted you to be. You know what I mean? Be that guy, be the leader as he progresses and just make plays on the field and have fun. And our lockers are right next to each other, so I'll be able to help him whatever he needs. And I was telling them when the draft was coming around, you can't go wrong with a Buckeye. You know what I mean? You had so many choices at the top of the draft. It was cool to see, another Buckeye be here. But he's fitting great so far, and I know he's going to continue to earn the respect of the guys in the locker room and make plays when it's time.
Sonny Styles is a dude with gravitas, and you can already see that. Even though he's a rookie, players just kind of gravitate towards him. I did want to take a quick second. If you notice Terry McLaurin's cap in that interview, it was Bank of America Golf with Us. We got to catch up with Terry McLaurin as well as Ryan Zimmerman and Walt Williams at a Golf with Us event in College Park. Golf with Us is a great program where they try to get young kids access and affordable golf. They can sign up through the Golf with Us website and then play golf for $5 a round. It's a really cool program. Now, you got to hear all about Sonny Styles, the first-round pick. What about Antonio Williams, the third-round pick out of Clemson? To find out more about the wide receiver, we caught up with his college coach, Dabo Swinney. You got to hear what Dabo thinks about Antonio. That's next.
This is All Ears with JP Finlay.
Really excited to talk to Dabo Swinney, national championship winner, head coach at Clemson University. Coach, thank you so much for making the time. You got a whole lot of people in the DMV want to know about Antonio Williams, receiver that played for you for 4 years, now wearing the burgundy and gold. What should we know about this young man?
Yeah, it won't take you long to know about him. He's special. He's a complete player. First of all, he's a great human being. He's just about his business. I think he can play 3 spots. I think he can play the Z. I think he can play the X. He certainly can play in the slot. He's got great, just natural instincts for the position that are really hard to coach. He's got a great feel for playing in space. He's an elite route runner. He plays longer than he is. He's a really good finisher on the ball. Does a good job. Has just he was a good basketball player, and I think basketball players, they have a natural ability, to high point balls and have collision balance and body control in the air. He can do all of that. He understands defense and kind of what he's trying to do. And so again, just a complete player. He'll stick his face in there and block. He's tough. He's got excellent special teams value. He's a really good natural returner. From a punt return standpoint, number one thing you got to do is be a guy that has a lot of confidence in possessing the ball, and he's a good decision maker back there, and then he can do some things with it. If he gets the opportunity to return it, I think he's a great fit for Jayden Daniels. I think he's a great.
That's huge.
Yeah, because Jayden's one of those guys. He's got a great skill set, and one of the things that makes him special is his ability to. We're always playing against the clock in football, right? That ball gets snapped, and man, there's some dudes on that other side, but Jayden has the unique ability to extend that clock. He can extend plays. He can get up and out and create explosives in the passing game off of just buying time. And if you really study Antonio, some of his biggest plays came off of because Cade was a guy that could, he's a very athletic kid, and same thing. But some of Antonio's biggest plays came off of scramble rule type plays where, and again, he's got a good feel for that stuff too. So I think he's a good fit there, and just super excited to see him get going. And and watch him do his thing.
When Commanders general manager Adam Peters was sitting there with that 71st pick, he kind of had his pick of a lot of receivers right there. There were a lot of highly regarded college wideouts right in that area. And he got to pick the guy he wanted. What does that tell you about Antonio? Before there was a big run on wideouts in the third round, and Williams started it all.
Yeah, I mean, again, just it's good to see him be recognized. I think he's a first-round talent. I think they got great value. Only reason he wasn't a first-rounder is he's not 6'2". If he was 6'2" or 6'1.5", he's probably a first-round draft pick. I've had a bunch of great receivers in my going on 18 years here as the head coach, and I was the receiver coach for 6 years prior to being the head coach. So, he's as good as we've had. He's different. He's different than T. Higgins. He's different than Mike Williams. He's different than DeAndre Hopkins. He's different than Hunter Renfrow, Adam Humphries, Jerron Brown, Sandy,
right.
All those guys. But he's as good as those guys. This guy is elite. And another thing about him, I would say these last 2 years, he really has shown up every day like a pro should show up. He's a very mature kid, and he just loves, man, he loves ball. He loves ball. And again, I think he's at a great place. And so, hey, they did a great job of evaluating and scouting this guy. And, you got to make a decision. And this kid stays healthy, man. He'll have a great pro career, no doubt.
What up? We are back. It's all ears. Thank you to Dabo Swinney for joining us, but it's your turn now to drive the show. That's right. My favorite segment every week, mailbag time. Let's get this thing going. I never know where we're going. Scotty G says, will Blough's system be easier to implement and get up to speed since he was already here, or does that not really matter? Dude, I think that matters a lot. David Blough has a really strong relationship above all the other players with Jayden Daniels. Think about it. He's been the assistant quarterbacks coach. He's been Jayden's guy since Jayden arrived in Washington. I think that is the most important relationship with the most important player. And frankly, when the team made the decision to move on from Cliff Kingsbury, Jayden voiced his support for Cliff. Now, I don't think Jayden would be thrilled if they then went outside of the building, but by going to Blough, I think that matters a lot. And then just from like an offensive strategic angle, I really like what Blough's going to try to implement here. Play action, get Jayden under center, run some bootlegs, pre-snap motion. I think that's the refresh this offense needs, and I think it's going to get receivers open, and I think it's going to make them more effective in the run game. Let's get to our next question. Again, these are always new to me, man. Let's find out. Oh, Jonas Bloom. Love Jonas. So many primetime games. What are your predictions for the primetime record? All right, I might need your help here, Kerwin. I know there's a Sunday night on the books. There's a Monday night on the books. There's a Thursday night on the books. Now, they could always get flexed. Things could always move around. He said primetime, so I don't think London counts. That's a 9 a.m. It's a national window, but it's not a primetime. I like them to win in New York. I've told you already. I think that's an under game. Go under. Whatever that number is, play the under. They play the Bengals on Monday night at home, and then the Eagles on Sunday night. 2 division games. Let's say 2-1. Let's be optimistic. It costs the same, as Scott Van Pelt says. Choose optimism. 2-1 in primetime games. There you go, Jonas. I hope you're happy with that prediction. 4 games. I missed one. Shoot. Who did I miss? Somebody tell me. Reasonable Squirrel asks, which NFC East team do you – oh, they have 2 Monday nighters that go to the road in the Niners. 2-2. 2-2 in primetime. Which NFC East team do you think has improved the most so far this offseason? Giants seem to be getting it together. So it's a great question, and it's probably not the Commanders, if we're being totally honest. I think the Giants have made significant improvements. One, just by getting John Harbaugh. That's a super competent, Super Bowl winning head coach compared to the kind of litany of subpar coaches, I'll be polite there, they've had. I think Harbaugh raises the floor. But I do think if you consider all that Dallas has added defensively, we know how good that offense can be. But if the defensive pieces start to click for the Cowboys, I think they could be a real contender for the division title if that defense kind of gels the way some are expecting it to. But don't worry, Jerry will probably mess it up. I don't know if we have time for one more mailbag question. You guys tell me. There are 4 primetime games, though. 2-2 is the record. Mr. Command Cave. I have no idea what those fractions are about, but that's cool. What's been the best nickname of a player you have covered here in Washington? Fat Man, Cowboy Killer. You like that? Cowboy Killer, of course, the great Santana Moss. You like that? Did anybody call Kirk Cousins? You like that? I mean, maybe Captain Kirk if you wanted to go that way. The you like that thing was an incredible moment, but I don't know that anybody called him that. Listen, Fat Man is a really cool nickname. It truly is. But he's got to deliver on the field a little bit before we all can start shouting Fat Man. I understand the Penn State people love saying Fat Man because he was great at Penn State. Right now, the number one fat nickname still belongs to Fat Rob, obviously. Big swaggy Chris Baker, but Terrence Knighton, how can you forget pot roast? A warm winter meal that plugged the middle of that defense. Nobody go anywhere. We're coming right back. It's all yours. What a special day for the Clarksburg High School girls flag football team. The squad had a celebration with the Commanders at Northwest Stadium, honoring the program's second championship victory and an undefeated season. The celebration included a championship ring presentation and a photo op. Look at those rings, man. And a photo op inside the Commanders' locker room. The Commanders addressed the team, highlighting their incredible accomplishments.
Yeah, y'all inspired not only everybody in this room, but all young athletes that are coming after y'all. Understand that this is just the start with y'all. Y'all started something. I truly want y'all to understand how special y'all young ladies are and for what y'all have been able to accomplish.
That celebration follows Maryland Public Schools' decision to officially sanction girls flag football as a varsity sport statewide. What a honor for the Clarksburg Coyotes. Thank you all for watching. It's been a heck of an episode of All Ears. You made it this far, I owe you a beer. Look at Major Tuddy. Nice form.